Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a science fiction drama film. Open your eyes. Spoiler ahead, watch out, and take care. The movie begins with a woman's voice telling a sleeping young man named Cesar to open his eyes. He wakes up in his bed and gets up to prepare for work. He drives his car to an empty city, but Cesar wakes up again. This time, a dark-haired woman is sleeping beside him. It appears that she's infatuated with him, while Cesar doesn't really care much about her. He gets up and quickly puts on some clothes, eager to get away from the woman. Before he leaves, he tells her not to leave messages on his alarm clock anymore. Just like before, Cesar gets in his car and drives to the city. But this time, the city is no longer empty. He picks up his friend, who gets in his car. The friend asks him if he slept with the woman from last night. He grins and answers yes. The two of them go to a tennis court to play. The friend is complaining about how good-looking Cesar is, and how the friend doesn't stand a chance with girls when he is with him. The scene cuts to several years later. Cesar is now in prison, and he's wearing a mask to hide his disfigurement. He is no longer the confident, attractive young man. He now cowers in the corner of a dark jail cell as a psychiatrist tries to get him to open up. It's revealed that Cesar killed someone, and he was sentenced to life imprisonment. The psychiatrist wants to understand why he did it. Back in the past, Cesar throws a lavish party for his birthday. His friend invites a beautiful brunette named Sofia as his date. Cesar is intrigued by the pretty girl, and he flirts with her despite being his friend's date. He momentarily goes inside his bedroom and discovers that his ex-lover, the woman he slept with the other night, is splayed out on his bed. Cesar didn't invite her, but she's determined to snag him, so she snuck inside his house. She tries to seduce him, but Cesar throws her smelly ass out. He goes back out into the party and continues to flirt with Sofia. He tells her that his jealous ex-lover is at the party and watching him carefully. They hide in one of the rooms and are caught by his friend. The friend is understandably a little jealous because Cesar stole his date, but he wants to be a better person. So he tells Cesar that he won't let Sofia get in the way of their friendship. Cesar ends up abandoning his own party and taking Sofia home to her apartment. They get to know each other and lounge on the couch watching TV. They also see an ad on TV for a company advertising cryonisation, or the process of preserving an organism by freezing them in an unconscious state. Sofia and Cesar don't sleep together, but he's now starting to believe that there could be something good between them. He walks out of her apartment in the early morning light with a smile on his face. Suddenly, his ex-lover drives by in her car. She has been stalking him out of jealousy. She tells him that she was also out with a man the previous night, but she only wants Cesar. The ex-lover invites him for a drive. He initially refuses, but she calls him a coward, so he gets inside her car. Once they're driving, the ex-lover becomes angry and possessive. To make sure that no one else will have Cesar, she deliberately drives into the highway barricade. Moments later, they roll down the hill and get into an accident. The next thing Cesar knows, he's meeting up with Sofia in a park. He thinks the car accident was just a dream. He tells Sofia about it and reveals that in his dream, his face was horribly disfigured from the car accident. Sofia then asks him how his house was after the party, but Cesar doesn't remember ever throwing the party. Then, he finally wakes up again. It turns out, the conversation with Sofia in the park was also a dream. The truth is that he did get into a car accident with his ex-lover, and she reportedly died. However, because of his paranoia, Cesar doesn't believe she really is dead. The same accident did leave him disfigured and caused him to be in prison. After that accident, the psychiatrist tries to help him differentiate between his dreams and his reality. He tries to tell Cesar that he's no longer disfigured due to an operation, and he can now take off his mask. But Cesar believes that he is a monster, so he refuses to take it off. A flashback reveals that after the accident, the doctors operated on Cesar 3 times to reconstruct his face. However, their efforts are not enough because his face is still hideous and scarred. Cesar doesn't want the doctors to stop their operation, but the doctors argue that any more surgery will risk his life. The only thing they can offer him is a mask. Back in the jail cell, the psychiatrist continues to insist that the doctors eventually found a solution and reconstructed his face. Cesar still doesn't believe this smelly bullshit, but he is warmer now toward the psychiatrist. Before he leaves, the psychiatrist asks him if he wants anything from the prison guards. Cesar requests a pencil and paper, but he doesn't want to be indebted to the guards. As a gesture of goodwill, the psychiatrist gives him his own pencil and paper. That night, in the darkness of his cell, Cesar tries to draw Sofia's face from memory, but after numerous attempts, he couldn't quite capture her face. He thinks about the time when he sees Sofia walking down the street after the accident. He follows her to a park, where she proceeds to spend the day as a mime. Cesar gets out of his car and stands in front of her for hours as she keeps pretending to be a mime. Eventually, it begins to rain, and she breaks from her mime character. Cesar is angry at her for not even calling to check up on him after his accident. Sophia reasons that she didn't want to make him feel uncomfortable. She reaches out to touch his face and agrees to meet with him another time. They meet at a nightclub, but Cesar is surprised to see that his friend is also there. The friend reveals that Sophia asked him to go with her because she's scared of Cesar. Dejected, Cesar spends the night getting drunk on whiskey while watching Sophia and his friend dance. They leave the club, and Sophia goes home alone. Cesar gets into an argument with the friend, who leaves him as well. Cesar cries and mourns the love he could have had with Sophia. He falls asleep on the street. The next morning, a woman wakes him up. When he opens his eyes, he sees his ex-lover. But a moment later, he sees Sophia. She kisses him without hormone let go and tells him she loves him. In their next meeting, the psychiatrist flips through the sketches of Sophia that Cesar made. Cesar tells him that he doesn't know who he hurt that led to him being imprisoned. The only thing he remembers is an office and signing some papers. He also shares that some months later, the same doctors who told him his case was hopeless previously called him back to the hospital. He remembers now that they suddenly had a new operation for him. He was strapped to a strange-looking tubular machine, and when he came out, his face was back to its former beauty. After this, Cesar gets back his fabulous life. He has his youth, money, looks, and his beautiful girlfriend Sophia. Everything is finally alright. The friend goes out to dinner with the couple, and he's happy for them, although he does have feelings for Sophia. One night, Cesar gets another dream where his former scarred face is back. He wakes up from his dream and realizes that he's lying beside the sleeping Sophia. He goes to the bathroom, and when he returns, it's no longer Sophia on the bed, but his ex-lover, who appears to have survived the car accident. He ties her up and demands that she tell him where Sophia is. The ex-lover is crying, and she keeps telling him that she doesn't know what he's talking about. They end up at the police station. The officer is now telling him that the woman he thinks is his ex-lover is actually Sophia. But Cesar insists that it's his ex-lover impersonating Sophia. The friend also arrives at the police station, and he is angry at Cesar for hurting Sophia. The friend then shows Cesar a picture of him and Sophia, and it seems that the friend also now believes that the ex-lover is Sophia. Cesar goes to a bar to drown his sorrows. There, he meets a man who is familiar because he's watched his commercials on TV about cryogenization. The man tells him that all the people in the bar are under Cesar's control, implying that Cesar is in a dream. He offers Cesar an opportunity to be cryogenically frozen. Back in the prison, the psychiatrist puts Cesar under hypnosis. He remembers that he went to an office to sign a contract. He also remembers that he returned to Sophia's apartment. She finds him there, but she still looks like the ex-lover. She disappears, and the real Sophia materializes before his eyes. The two of them sleep together, and in the middle of their tryst, she transforms back into the ex-lover. Cesar smothers her to death with a pillow. This is the murder that Cesar was imprisoned for. While in the prison, Cesar sees another commercial on TV. He finally remembers the name of the company, and he enlists the psychiatrist's help so they can go out and head to the company to investigate. They discover that aside from cryogenization, the company also provides virtual reality options for their customers. You can choose to replay moments and memories from your life, or you can also choose to create your own dreams based on your desires. The psychiatrist and Cesar go to a restroom to talk. At this point, Cesar is starting to believe that he's in a dream and nothing he is experiencing is real. The psychiatrist just thinks that Cesar is on the verge of a psychological breakdown. He urges Cesar to finally take off his mask so he can see that his face is perfect and handsome. Cesar removes the mask, and his face is still scarred underneath. But the psychiatrist continues to say that his face looks fine. Cesar flees the restroom and runs down to the lobby of the office building. Since he thinks he's inside a dream, he grabs a gun from a security guard and shoots a person several times. He wants to find a way to stop the dream, so he resorts to violent acts. More security guards come and threaten to shoot Cesar. The psychiatrist intervenes and ends up being shot by the guards. Inexplicably, the two of them are now on the rooftop of a building. The psychiatrist is fine despite being shot. The man from the commercial appears again. He affirms Cesar's theory that nothing they're seeing is real. It turns out, Cesar had signed the contract with the option of creating his own dream reality once he is cryogenically frozen. He then went home that day and overdosed on pills. The company preserved his body, and it is now 150 years later. The dream state he chose was a combination of his real memories and his fantasy. He did get into an accident because of his jealous ex-lover, and his face really was disfigured. He also did meet Sophia at his birthday party and had that amazing first hormone night with her. However, after the night at the club with his friend and Sophia, he never saw her again. They just had the one-night stand pleasure, not love between them. So the parts where Sophia became his girlfriend and the doctors reconstructed his face are all just parts of his fantasy and never real. In addition, the murder also never happened and he was never imprisoned. The psychiatrist was just a character, conjured to help him realize the things he needed to. The psychiatrist is not aware of this, and he undergoes an existential crisis since he could not understand that he doesn't really exist either. This fantasy reality is an endless cycle of suffering for Cesar. But the man explains that he's now ready to be reborn, and he can choose to wake up from the dream and live his real life in the future. One last time, he sees a vision of Sophia in a white dress standing before him. For a moment, his face is back to normal, and Sophia is looking at him with love in her eyes. He asks her if she knows who she is, and she replies that she doesn't know. The two share a kiss without using their tongues. Cesar also sees his friend, and the psychiatrist is in the corner crying. The man reminds him that they are all not real and their emotions do not matter. The only way things can be real again is if Cesar chooses to wake up. In the end, Cesar makes his decision. He chooses to jump from the rooftop so he can wake up in the real world. The movie ends with Sophia's voice telling him to relax and open his eyes, implying that he may still be confined in his dream cycle. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.